What's up, everybody? Noah Kaser back here for another episode of Noah Kaser Live. We have a lot to talk about this week, so let's get right into it. This week, we're going to talk about Inside Out 2's big box office. Megalopolis gets a distributor at Lionsgate. Jordan Peele has a new film announced, as well as Uncharted 2 is in development. I'll be doing my reaction to the Smile 2 trailer, as well as reviews for Under Paris Hitman, the brand new Hulu documentary about the Brat Pack called Brats, as well as Bad Boys Ride or Die and Inside Out 2, as well as giving you the box office results, my thoughts on them, why it was a big and great awesome week for the box office, and we'll go into the Netflix top 10, as well as what is releasing this week in theaters and on streaming. So first, we will be going into the task of Inside Out 2's big box office success. Inside Out 2 had a massive box office this weekend. This thing made bank, and when I say it made bank, it made tremendous money. This movie was projected to make, maybe a cute little, $80 million. A cute little $80 million. But looking at what it did, this is massive. This is a massive thing. So this thing was projected to make anywhere between 80 million to 100 million. On the Friday it opened, this movie made $62 million opening day. That's really cute. Because if you look here, we have Disney and Pixar's expressive animated sequel Inside Out 2 scored a mighty $155 million in its first weekend of release, overtaking Dune Part 2 that made $82.5 million opening weekend, as well as Godzilla x Kong at $80 million as the biggest opening of the year. It's also the first release since last July's Barbie, opening at $162 million, to debut over $100 million. Heading into this weekend, the follow-up to 2015's cerebral hit Inside Out was projected to collect $80 to $90 million. So, before we go into this is very big. Why is this big? Well, let's talk about this for just a minute. This movie should not have made that much money against other films. But here's the thing. There's not anything else out that's really giving it competition. There's no family film that is recently released within the past 2 weeks that's going to give this competition. This movie is huge. The first one is beloved. It's one of the most rewatched films on Disney Plus, and it's one of Pixar's most renowned. We were terrified that this wasn't even going to be a massive hit at the box office because it's Pixar. Look what Lightyear did. I love Lightyear. I really love Lightyear. Not a lot of people do like Lightyear, but I love Lightyear as a side story about the movie that Andy watched to get him into the Buzz Lightyear character. This is huge. Let's take a look at this again. This movie, the second Inside Out, also connected at the international box office with $140 million, enough to surpass Frozen 2, $135 million, as the biggest overseas animated opening of all time. This is massive. Turnout was especially strong across the Latin American areas, where it landed the second biggest opening of all time behind Disney Marvel's epic Avengers Endgame. Globally, the movie has grossed $295 million to notch the title for the biggest animated debut in likes-for-likes markets at the current exchange rates. It carries a $200 million production budget. That's not including the marketing budget. So this is freaking massive. This is massive. So we do normally save the box office for one of the later segments, but I'm going to look at this first because this is freaking phenomenal. We're going to take a look at the box office for Inside Out 2 right now, because not many films do this. Not many films have this big of a rise in box office. So take a look at this. Projected at $80 to $100 million, this movie has already grossed $334 million within 5 days of release. Within 5 days of release. This is great for Disney and Pixar. This gives them hope. And this gives them an idea of what to do. People say, don't do sequels. Don't do sequels. Well, let's take a look at some of the other Disney and Pixar movies that did phenomenal at the box office. Let's take a look at The Incredibles 2, shall we? Which, by the way, is a movie I still have not seen. I have still not seen Incredibles 2, but I have seen the first Incredibles. Oh, whoa, look at that. $1.2 billion. $1.2 billion. Let's take a look at the domestic box office. Oh, wow, look at that. There's domestic box office. Look at this. That's opening weekend. Opening weekend is at $182 million. Dropping 56% to 80 million. I project that, and I'm going to anticipate that this could do a 50-60% drop, but even that is going to be phenomenal. Because looking at this is on its second weekend. Taking a look back at Inside Out 2, that's going to make that this week. It's going to make another $15 million, $16 million this week alone to surpass that. I'm loving After Pixar. I'm really loving that because this is a film that I was anticipating, right? And I do have my review for this coming just a little bit later. This is phenomenal for them. I'm loving this for them because Pixar needs this win. With Soul, Turning Red, and Luca making almost no money at the box office. Sorry, I hate to say it. No love at the box office for it. None. None at all. I just gotta say, I am so proud of this movie. I'm so proud for people going to theaters to see this movie because it's a massive win for them as a whole. $334 million is nothing to sneeze at. This is over what Lightyear made. This is over what multiple films this year has made. This is going to be right now the biggest film of the entire year, I think. Until we get to a couple weeks from now with Despicable Me 4 and then inevitably Deadpool and Wolverine, which will blow the box office up. So, there's my thoughts on the Inside Out 2 massive big box office success. Now we're going to move into the next topic, which is Megalopolis gets a distributor in Lionsgate. Lionsgate is going to save this movie. Not saying that in a great sense of the term, but you know what? This is pretty big. This is pretty big for them. So looking at what we got here from this. Francis Ford Coppola's Megalopolis lands at Lionsgate for a fall release. After much speculation over its fate, Megalopolis is officially headed to North American movie theaters. Lionsgate has picked up the Francis Ford Coppola feature and is planning a September 27th, 2024 release, The Hollywood Reporter has confirmed. Megalopolis bowed at Cannes last month after a dramatic backstory surrounding its making. After decades in development, Coppola put part of his personal fortune into the $100 million project, which stars Adam Driver as a man obsessed with creating Utopian City. IMAX had previously committed to carrying the project even before it had a North American distributor. However, we need to talk about this. This movie debuted with a 10-minute standing ovation and currently sports a 51% critics rating on Rotten Tomatoes. After the Cannes ovation, Coppola said he'd hoped the film would inspire hope in the world. The next morning, he addressed questions of putting his own money into the feature. My children, without exception, have wonderful careers without a fortune. We are fine. It doesn't matter, said the filmmaker. The money doesn't matter. What is important are the friends. A friend will never let you down. The money may evaporate. So, this movie is going to go. It is going to go to theaters. Will I see it in theaters? Probably not, because my theater will not be getting this movie opening weekend. I believe this comes out around the time of multiple other films. this movie also has to compete with multiple IMAX films. This has to deal with the 10th anniversary re-release of Interstellar. The next week, it's going to open up to a juggernaut in Joker. So Joker 2 is going to be in theaters. Those have already been promised to IMAX screens. Interstellar is going to IMAX screens. So Megalopolis only has 1 week. It only has 1 week. Looking at what comes out that week, there is literally... Let me see here. There is Never Let Go, which I believe is the Halle Berry movie. Yes, that's the Halle Berry movie. Her new drama horror thriller. Megalopolis. And I'm guessing a small film here called The Return with Ray Fiennes. So, if my theater gets this movie, which it possibly could, looking at what comes out in September, my theater only being a 2-auditorium theater, if I get the chance to see this in theaters, I will happily go and see Megalopolis in theaters. But Transformers Day 1, Speak No Evil, an untitled Blumhouse film, Beetlejuice, The Wild Robot, and the next week, Joker, Folie à Deux. What else do you want me to say? This is going to be a film that is out. I don't think it's going to be a massive hit. The critics are not enjoying this film all that much. It's splitting with the critics, and Cannes gave it a standing ovation, but they give lots of films standing ovations. I think it's great for them. It's great for them to have a distributor now. I am looking forward to seeing this film eventually, maybe on streaming. Maybe I'll rent this film when it comes to Vudu and Amazon Prime. If my theater gets it, I will go to theaters and see it. But what do you guys think about the Megalopolis film finally getting a distributor in Lionsgate? Moving on to the next one. Moving on to the next topic, which is Jordan Peele gets a new movie announced. Jordan Peele is one of my favorite horror filmmakers because he has not had a bad film. In 3 films, he has not had a bad film. I dare say he hasn't had a mediocre film yet. Dare I say he's made some of the best horror films I've seen over the last couple of years? Yes. Looking at this, Jordan Peele's next movie is set for Halloween 2026. So for Halloween season 2026, Jordan Peele has a date to return to movie theaters. Universal has set an October 23rd, 2026 release date for Peele's next feature. No other details were available, but the Halloween season date feels appropriate given the director's penchant for horror. After a career in comedy, Peele burst onto the scene with as an A-list director with 2017's Get Out, a film that earned Peele an original screenplay Oscar, as well as landing noms for picture, director, and for best actor for star Daniel Kaluuya. It went on to gross $255.4 million globally on a budget of $4.5 million. Peele followed his Get Up success with 2019's Us and 2022's Nope. Us opening at 256. Let's try it one more time. Us earning 256.2 million and Nope earning 171.2 million. The filmmaker will produce via his Monkey Paw banner. As a producer, he has the Marlon Wayans starred Him due out this September. Now, this is great. This is phenomenal. Now, as this says here, previously Peele's next film was dated for December 25th, 2024, but that was before the dual writer and actor strike upended Hollywood's theatrical calendar. Universal-owned Focus Features has Robert Eggers' Nosferatu on that date. Peele has the new date on X. So he uploaded this on Monday. That is great. I am very excited for this film, not only because I absolutely love Get Out. I love the movie Get Out. It is one of the best horror films I've seen in years. It is a phenomenal film, great story, masterclass acting. a phenomenal screenplay from a comedy writer. While there is comedy in it, this is a film that is all about the horror. This is all about this guy who's dating a white woman, and he's a black man, and he goes to her house on a family visit, and some creepy stuff starts going on, and secrets are now being unfolded. Us is basically about another version of yourself coming to kill you so they can unite the world, I believe, if I'm correct. And Nope, I'm not even going to try and describe Nope, because I can't even describe what Nope is about. I think it's a very good film. I just think it's its weakest film. It's not one I could rewatch every year. Get Out and Us, I could easily pop on this week if I wanted to, because I love those films so much. I'm very happy that Jordan Peele gets another film in 2026. I just wish it was sooner. I'm guessing he has a lot of stuff coming out as a producer. He has a lot of stuff coming out acting-wise, maybe, and like some guest appearances. Maybe he'll do some more voice acting work. I'm not sure, but right now he seems focused on the horror game, and I want him to stay in that realm. A lot of people thought he was going to do Blade. Would he be a good pick for Blade? Of course he'd be a great, phenomenal pick for Blade. He's Jordan Peele. It's a horror-based comic book film with a comic book character who's killing vampires. What do you want? It's Jordan Peele. He would have done a phenomenal job with that. Not saying he's not doing it. We just haven't had any confirmation. This film here would get in the way, though. If they get the ball rolling on Blade, then that could be a bit of a deterrence to try and get him as the director. But apparently Peele has met with the MCU, with Marvel, to be a director on one of their films. Maybe a potential writer. So there's my thoughts on that. Let me know down in the comment box below what you think about Jordan Peele's new movie being announced. What do you think it's going to be about? Do you think it's going to be as good as Get Out, Nope, or Us? Or have you seen his films starting to go on a downslope in quality as of late? So next up, we're going to be talking about Uncharted 2 is now in development. I like this. I'm one of the very few people, one of the very few critics who really enjoyed this film. I really enjoyed this film. I'm not going to lie to you. I loved this movie. This movie delivered exactly what I wanted it to, and that's all it needs. That's all it needs to do. All it needs to do is give me a fun story, as well as a great fun time at the theater. That's all I want. That's legit all I want from it. Now we have Uncharted 2. How is this going to do? Well, let's see. We will take a look at the box office here in just a minute, but I want to go and look at this article really, really quickly. Uncharted 2 movie officially in development at Sony. Sony has confirmed Uncharted 2 is officially in development, though details about the movie's sequel are scarce. As reported by Variety, Sony Pictures exec Stephen Odell confirmed the news during Sony's presentation at the 2024 Cine Europe trade show. He listed the sequel to the Tom Holland starring Uncharted film adaptation as one of the studio's upcoming projects, confirming that the movie is officially moving forward. So this movie opened at $139 million in 2022. It opened at that. So Nathan Drake and Victor Sullivan. This is awesome, because this movie does not need a mountain of money to break even. This movie did make some good money at the box office. It made good money at the box office. It really did. Looking at what it did at the box office, it made a grand total of $400 million. I think that's good. $13 million in home video sales. I don't think that's anything to sneeze at. I really don't think that's anything to sneeze at, because if you look at something like The Fall Guy, if you look at something like If, they've barely made half that, if not even half that. Sorry, but if you're going to look at me and say that, let's just take a look at this one. Let's take a look at Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. Yes, you cannot. Kingdom of the Planet. If I can spell, that'd be amazing. Pests. Apes. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes has earned a grand total of $375 million. Yes, it's all based on what the budget for the film is, but this made good money. This made really good money. I can't imagine that Sony looked at the $400 million, looked at the fan response, because yes, you're making it for the fans. Yes, you are, but you're also making it for general audiences. You're making a movie based off of a video game for general audiences. If you know the game, that's awesome. If you played the game, that's even more awesome. However, you're supposed to be making these movies for general audiences. They're not making the movies for the fans. They're making movies to turn a profit. They're bringing you in as an audience member who knows this project, who knows this property, who knows these characters and love these characters, with two massive stars in Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg. I like this film. I like this move. I'm really looking forward to the second one. I don't care what anybody says. I'm really looking forward to this move. I want more of this. I want more of this franchise. I want more of Tom Holland not being Spider-Man. He's great as Spider-Man. I like him as Spider-Man, but I think he's a good enough actor to get out of that, like he's shown in a Uncharted, like from what I've heard in a Cherry, and in a I believe it was in the Apple series, The Crowded Room, and I've also heard he's very, very good in The Devil All the Time on Netflix. I still have to see that one with him and Robert Pattinson, I believe. But there's my thoughts on that. And let me know your thoughts down below. What did you think of the very first Uncharted film? And are you excited for Uncharted 2? This is very intriguing. So, moving on to the next topic. Smile 2 now has a trailer. So, you know what we got to do. I've already watched it, but I like doing these trailer reactions because I am not the right guy for horror. I'm not a horror guy. So let's just take a look at this trailer and we will see what it's all about. And will I see it? I'll tell you after the trailer. So let's watch this trailer.
Waiting to happen like that and why.
I love Naomi Scott.
Hello?
Sky!
What?
No, get away from me!
What? What is it?
Get away from me!
Louis?
That's brutal, man.
Something really crazy is happening to me. I keep seeing this face everywhere.
You witnessed a death. Now it's latched onto you.
Stop smiling at me!
That's a pretty cool shirt you got. Want me to sign it?
So there's the trailer for Smile 2. I'm not going to lie to you. I am not a horror guy. I am not a horror guy whatsoever. So this is not in my wheelhouse. However, the only way I will see this movie in theaters is if my girlfriend says she wants to see it. If she says she wants to see this movie in theaters, I'll be like, sure, let's go and watch it. They've already started the marketing for this film, though, which is very, very smart, because they did this with the first one. They did this with the first movie. So let's take a look at this. This movie had a budget of what, $9 or $19 million? This movie at the box office, the first one, $217 million. They made bank on this movie. They made bank on this film. 100%. There's no reason that a little horror film like this was going to make that unless it looks like this. This movie also has a good release date. Looking at what's out before it and what's coming out after it, this movie has no competition. No competition over the Halloween season. This is the horror movie of Halloween this year. 100%. This is the 100% guaranteed movie of Halloween for pure horror. Yes, you do have Venom The Last Dance the next week after that, which is going to eat up most of the box office. But Smile 2 does not need a lot of money to break even, folks. I see this doing an easy 100 to 125 million and still breaking even. If you could make this for $19 million, minimum $19 million, that's ridiculous. Now, I have not seen the first one because I was too chicken to go and see it. I'm not going to lie to you. I was too chicken to go and see it. I remember when the trailers came on, I saw the trailer for the first time, I believe, at home, I think. And then I went to theaters, and I think I saw it in theaters, and I went, nope, not for me. If my girlfriend wants to go and see this movie in theaters, I'll go and see it in theaters. I won't be happy about it. I might need to take a change of pants after seeing it, but you know what? That's okay. But in all seriousness, guys, Smile 2, are you looking forward to it? What did you think about it? And are you excited for this film? What did you think about the first one? But most importantly, what do you think is going to happen once we get to Smile 2? Is this going to be a massive hit? Do you think that this is a massive, what am I trying to say here? Is this a massive, what's the right word here? A massive mistake on the part of a Paramount to do this? I don't think so. I mean, you can easily get a really decent little, 100 million out of this if you're careful with your marketing. They're doing a great job with it. But let me know what your thoughts about this topic are in the comments down below. And now we move into the reviews. So we have a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 reviews to do. I'm going to say this. I'm going to try and keep the Hallmark reviews on the Hallmark podcast. And that's not going to be the critic reviews. Those are his fans. Those are his fans reviewing them, not as a critic. So let's get into these. First up, we're going to talk about Under Paris. Under Paris is the brand new Netflix film that just debuted a couple weeks ago on Netflix in the summer of 2024. Paris is hosting the World Triathlon Championships on the On the scene for the first time, Sophia, a brilliant scientist, learns from Micah, a young environmental activist, that a large shark is swimming deep in the river to avoid a bloodbath at the heart of the city. They have no choice but to join forces with Adele, the Seine River police commander. I don't remember how to say that. I'm sorry. I don't remember how to say that city's name. I should know. It's been a couple weeks since I've seen it. Sorry. But what did I think about this film overall? Well, to be honest with you, I thought that this was going to be a very mediocre film. However, this new film isn't good, but it's not bad either. It's not that bad either. There's some bad CGI, specifically when the shark jumps out of the water. But it has multiple good performances, and it builds some good tension, specifically with some of the shark scenes. It's just the CGI takes away from it once the shark jumps out of it. Once the shark jumps out of the water. And I watched this after seeing some reviews, and I was expecting a throwaway shark film, but it's much better than a lot of the shark movies I've actually seen in a really long time. This is a decent little film. It's a decent little film. And I will say this, I watched this in English. I didn't watch this in French. I watched this in English. I watched the dubbed version because I wanted to watch this dubbed. I wanted to be able to listen to it and pay attention and not have to read the subtitles. Yes, they want you to read it. They want you to watch it in their language that they made it in. But they give you an option to dub it as a choice. And I like that. This film is a good little shark film. It's a fun time. It's like 95 minutes long. It's not that long of a sit. And it is in the top 10 of Netflix currently today, which we will look at in just a little bit. But I look forward to seeing what they do with these foreign shark films, because the foreign horror market seems to be pumping out good films. They seem to be pumping out hit after hit after hit. And I really enjoyed Under Paris as a decent little film. Not saying that the characters had a lot of build-up and he could have done a better job with some of the CGI, but maybe it's based on the budget you had. I don't know what the budget for this film was, in all honesty, but the shark looked really good in the water. Some of the CGI looked really, really good, but when he's jumping out of the water, when the shark is jumping out of the water, it didn't look that good to me. It looked very CGI, but I enjoyed this overall, and I gave this a 2.5 out of 5. Yes, that's not a high score, but I enjoyed this for exactly what it is. It's a low-budget shark film, a lower-budget shark film. I don't think that this was made for $100 million. I really don't think that this was made for $100 million. If it was, then they massively misused the CGI, but I think this was probably made for a good $10-20 million, and Netflix got the rights to it. And then they're making good money if you have the ad plan, the ad-supported tier on it. So I really enjoyed Under Paris. Check it out if you're interested. It's a good little shark film, and on my grading scale, I'm going to give it a 2.5 out of 5. If I had to grade this, I'm going to give this a good little C+. A C to a C+. I really did enjoy this one. So next up, sorry folks, talking for this long nonstop all by yourself is not all that easy, so you need to have a drink ready. Here we go. So next up is the brand new Netflix film, Hitman. Hitman is the brand new Glenn Powell film. I really enjoy Glenn Powell as an actor, and Hitman is a film I'd heard about for a long time, since last fall's festival circuits. This is the new Richard Linklater film starring Glenn Powell, a mild-mannered professor moonlighting as a fake hitman in police stings, ignites a chain reaction of trouble when he falls for a potential client. So, Glenn Powell plays a guy named Gary, and he has all these different personas. And he meets a woman named Madison because she wants to do a hit on somebody. But in actuality, that's not how it happens. What ends up happening is that he is supposed to do a hit on her. However, they end up hitting it off, and he really enjoys this. He really enjoys this relationship. However, in the classic rom-com trait, this is not his real name. He does not say his real name. So she doesn't know who he actually is. And there's your rom-com setup. This is a rom-com through and through. This has some action, yes, but this is basically a romantic comedy with some drama, with a little bit of action in it as well. Some people were very disappointed that this was not a pure action film. But when there's action, it's very well shot. The choreography is phenomenal. But I enjoyed what I got here, man. I really enjoyed this. What ends up hurting this film, however, is not the chemistry between our two leads here. It's not the chemistry. The chemistry is phenomenal here. What ends up hurting the film is the ending. This is a very mixed ending for Hitman. What they do with this ending, I did not like. I'm not going to lie to you. I did not like this ending whatsoever. I wanted to, but the ending did itself no favors. No favors whatsoever. And I'll just say this. If you're looking for a typical ending to this, you're not going to get it. Because does everybody get what they deserve? Not really. Not really. And that's not a bad thing. It's a somewhat different ending, but I wanted more. I wanted more than what we actually got. I wanted a different setup. I wanted a different ending. I wanted more of a, this person gets what they deserve and the case is solved. And we don't get that, unfortunately. We don't get that. But with that being said, this is a very mixed film. People are enjoying this. However, what's hurting it is the ending. Not a lot of people are liking the ending. I wanted more, but I enjoyed the chemistry. The chemistry between these two is phenomenal. Glenn Powell as these different characters with the other setups of these hits as a hitman is phenomenal. When the action is there, it's great. The chemistry is great. I laughed a lot. I enjoyed this. I think it's a little bit too long for its own good, and I did not enjoy the ending. So there's my review of Hitman, and I'm going to give Hitman a 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed this one. On my grading scale, I'd probably add this up to a very, very good B+ to an A-. I enjoyed this one, guys. I want everyone to check this out, and I believe it is still in the Netflix top 10. But let's get to the reason I am wearing this shirt. Next up, we're going to review a documentary that I've been looking forward to for a very, very long time. Bratz. Bratz is all about the Brat Pack of the 1980s. The Brat Pack was this group of actors, right? It's about this group of actors set in the 1980s. And these guys were massive stars in these teen films and young adult films. So this is all about, in the 1980s, Andrew McCarthy was part of the young generation of actors who were set to take over Hollywood after a string of successful teen films. However, when the New York Magazine cover story in 1985 dubs them as the Brat Pack, stars in the making suddenly find themselves losing control over the trajectory of their careers. Now, almost 40 years later, McCarthy looks to reconnect with peers and co-stars that together can reflect on their respective legacies. This movie does have a phenomenal cast. It does have multiple stars, and this movie delivered exactly what I wanted it to. Just a fun, solid time watching a documentary. I love the Brat Pack films. I love The Breakfast Club. I think it's one of the best films ever made. It's definitely either my number 2 or my number 1 favorite film of all time. I've seen this film multiple times. I was watching something else earlier this week, and I remember watching this one film. I can't remember which film I was watching, but I saw that The Breakfast Club was on AMC, and I just paused the film that I was watching, and I watched about a good 10 minutes of The Breakfast Club, and I was just quoting it because I love this movie. I love The Breakfast Club. I love St. Elmo's Fire. Pretty in Pink, I think, is very good, along with 16 Candles, Ferris Bueller's Day Off, Fast Times at Ridgemont High is, I don't know if that's considered a Brat Pack film, but I really enjoyed this, guys. This is all about him going to talk to different members of the Brat Pack about how it affected their careers to be known as part of the Brat Pack. So he talks to Emilio Estevez, Ali Sheedy, Demi Moore, and Rob Lowe, along with some other people. Leah Thompson and John Cryer, and Timothy Hutton as well. Jonathan Cryer was sort of in the Brat Pack. He was in one or two of the films, but he wasn't as big of a member as, say, a Judd Nelson or a Ali Sheedy, Emilio Estevez, Demi Moore, Rob Lowe. He wasn't as big of a member in this as these guys were. Yes, he's a massive star now. He was also a pretty big star in the Brat Pack years as well. Ali Sheedy delivers a great story in here. Emilio Estevez is kind of dubbed as the leader of the Brat Pack, and rightfully so, because if you look at everything he's done in the Brat Pack verse, look at something like say, The Breakfast Club. Look at something like St. Elmo's Fire. Look at Repo Man. Is Repo Man considered a Brat Pack film? It's hard for these guys to get work because labeling you as a brat is not all that flattering. And he does actually talk to the guy who wrote that article. That's a very intriguing talk, and I bet that was very interesting to talk to him because he potentially ruined some careers. Who knows what could have happened if these guys were not labeled as the Brat Pack. Sure, John Cryer did do 2.5 Men. Rob Lowe is a massive star now. He was a growing star in the 80s. But look at what he's done recently. He brought that out. He got out of that. He was easy to cast. He's a good-looking dude. He was great in Class with Andrew McCarthy. Molly Ringwald, Judd Nelson had that same problem. These guys had a hard time being cast. They had a hard time being cast. Whether it's because of the Brat Pack or not, they had a hard time being cast because of these films. But now they're happy about the legacy. But this also delivers a great little look at why some of these people don't want to go back and talk about the Brat Pack years. Molly Ringwald is one of those people that Andrew McCarthy tried to get a hold of, and she said, I don't want to be a part of this specific film you're making. I don't want to be a part of this documentary because I want to move past this. I don't want to talk about the Brat Pack because everybody thought that they all hung out together. And sometimes they did. Maybe you went out to eat with somebody. Maybe you went to dinner with somebody. Maybe you went to a party with a group of the guys. But most of the time, they didn't see each other for decades. 4 decades. Maybe they text each other every once in a while. But most of these guys hadn't seen each other for 30 to 40 years. Tops. 30, 40 years. Sometimes a minimum of 40 years. They hadn't seen each other since the premiere of, say, Class, St. Elmo's Fire, The Breakfast Club, Pretty in Pink, 16 Candles. Some of these, they hadn't seen each other since then. Bratz is one of my favorite films of the entire year. It's a phenomenal documentary. If you haven't checked it out yet, you need to check this out on Hulu. It's a tight little, about 90 minutes. It's a tight little 90-minute documentary all about the 1980s Brat Pack, and I really, really enjoyed that. This is going to get a 4.5 out of 5 from me on my grading scale, an easy A for me, and I really enjoyed this film. We have a little bit more to go. Here we go. A drink always helps. Next up, we're going to move into Bad Boys Ride or Die. Bad Boys Ride or Die is a film I was not all that hyped about, to be completely honest with you. I wasn't all hyped for this because I hadn't seen the first film. I hadn't seen the first film, the second film, or the third film. So what I did is I watched the first film one day, and I did the second film and the third film the next day. And I went to the theaters the very next day and watched Bad Boys Ride or Die. After a late former captain is framed, Lowry and Burnett try to clear his name only to end up on the run themselves. So we met the son of Mike Lowry in the last film, and Marcus wants to retire. Marcus Burnett does retire for a portion of this film, but along the way, we know he can't stay retired forever because then we wouldn't have a movie. So they make a pact that this is one final case. One final case, and now they are trying to clear the name of their beloved and late former captain who passed away in the last film in Bad Boys for Life. This movie's phenomenal. This movie is great. It's a 2-hour action-packed comedic thrill ride that has a phenomenal 30-minute action sequence. There's consistent action for a good 20 to 30 minutes in the last act of this film. Before that, there's plenty of action there as well, but it's more character-based. They gave these characters more character than what they did in the other films. They legit gave them character. Character. The first one, yes, we know their names. We knew their names. It's all fine and dandy. The second one, I don't like the second one all that much. It's a little too long, but I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. With this, they give them purpose. They give you emotion. They give you a phenomenal story of Marcus wanting to retire because he's getting older. He suffers a emergency at the beginning of the film, and then something along the way makes him go, you want to know what? I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to help my friend one more time. And I love this film. This is great. I can only think of a couple things that I would change. Maybe cut out a couple of the scenes. Give our side characters in Vanessa Hudgens and why can't I think of his name? I feel so bad that I can't think of his name, so I'm gonna look at it right now. Is it Alexander Ludwig? I believe that's his name. I want more from their characters, and we do get a lot. We do get a lot of of Mike and Marcus along with Rita. This one is great. Rita's a character that is very intriguing, right? But we also get him a lot with his son. His son in this film delivers a great bit of emotion. But my favorite character of the entire film, who is not a massive role, is probably going to be Marcus's son-in-law. There's a scene in here, man. There's a scene in here where, holy crap, he damn near shows everybody why he's a legit badass and delivers an action scene that is so well shot and so well handled that at the end of the movie, you're sitting there and you're like, you give him some grill time, because all he wants to do is cook some of his food, and you're cheering for that the whole time. I loved this movie. It is easily one of my favorite films of the entire year so far, and I cannot wait to watch this film again. If I have time, I'm actually go to theaters and see this again. If I can make it to theaters before it leaves my theater again, I might go and see it in theaters again. Being completely honest with you, I enjoyed it this much. But there's my thoughts on Bad Boys Ride or Die. I'm going to give Bad Boys Ride or Die a 4 out of 5. I really enjoyed this. I didn't have a ton of complaints with it, so there's my quick little review for that one. Let me know what you thought of that film down below. And now we move into the final review of this live show, which is going to be my review for Inside Out 2. Sorry, guys. Inside Out 2 is the brand new Disney Pixar film that I've been highly anticipating, not because I'm a massive fan of the first one, because I didn't go to theaters to see the first one. In all honesty, I didn't see the first one until a couple years ago. And I think it's a good film. I don't think it's one of my all-time favorite Pixar films, in all honesty. I like it. It's good. Bing Bong, great character. This one is better for me, however. Make room for new emotions. Teenager... Let's try it one more time. Teenager Riley's mind headquarters is undergoing a sudden demolition to make room for something entirely unexpected. New emotions, joy, sadness, fear, anger, and disgust, who've long been running a successful operation by all accounts, aren't sure how to feel when anxiety shows up, and it looks like she's not alone. So we have all of our emotions back with joy, sadness, anger, fear, and disgust. But we got new emotions with anxiety, with envy. Probably my personal favorite one is embarrassment. I loved embarrassment in this movie. Embarrassment was adorable, funny, heartfelt. You just want to give him a big hug. I love that character. This movie is phenomenal. It's funny, it's heartfelt, it's relatable, it has new emotions. While I will get into those emotions in just a minute, anxiety is a phenomenal character because everybody has anxiety. We always don't show it. We want to suppress our emotions. Especially us guys, we like to suppress our emotions. If we're sad, we like to suppress that. If we're depressed, we suppress that. If we are upset, if we're mad, we suppress that feeling, that emotion. Riley has one scene in this that is so relatable that everybody's gone through it. I'm not going to spoil it, but I do have a brand new live stream coming up right after this one, which is a spoiler talk. A spoiler talk on Inside Out 2 with some good friends. So I'll see you guys then. But Inside Out 2 is a great film. I think this is a great film. Joy, sadness, everybody has their time to shine. The star of this film is anxiety, because anxiety takes over after the old emotions are jarred up and anxiety wants to create a new Riley. And she's going to learn a lesson. She's going to learn a lesson in this, as well as joy at the end of this film too. Because it's not just Riley learning who she is. It's the emotions in her head. It's joy and it's anxiety. And along with all of the other emotions, learning to come together and make her the human she's supposed to be. Help her be the person she's supposed to be. Help know when to be anxious. Help to know what to do when you're anxious, when to be happy. It's okay to be sad here. It's okay to feel this feeling. It's okay to be embarrassed. It's okay to be disgusted by something. And this is something that everybody in my theater could really relate to. This is not a kid's film. This is not a kid's film. There were kids in my theater where almost every single thing that went on in this film went right over their heads, because they, to me, they were too young to understand this film. They were too young to understand this film. It's sad, but it's true. There was some 4-year-olds, some 6-year-olds, and even some 10-year-olds who were too young to be in this film to really understand it. Yes, they're looking at it, it's bright, it's colorful, and it holds their attention, but Pixar does not make kids' films. They make family-friendly films for everybody, that everybody can enjoy. Inside Out is a great film. I think Inside Out 2 is just a better film because it expands upon what the first one did. It does have a moment of sadness. It did have a moment or two where I was getting teary-eyed because we've all been through this. It's relatable. And you felt that feeling coming back to you and what you felt like. So you're watching Riley as this teenage girl at hockey camp trying to impress these older teenagers and one who she's looked up to in Valentina. And you've been there. You've been there in one portion or another. Whether you're trying to impress a girl, whether you're trying to impress a guy you like, whether you're trying to impress a brand new friend and you're trying to become friends with this friend group, you've all been there. You've all been there. Maybe it's a new job. It's okay. This movie is telling you it's okay to feel those emotions. And here's why. This is what your emotions do to you. It makes you the person you become. There are moments to be angry. There are moments to be sad. And there are moments to be embarrassed. But anxiety is part of your life. But it's what you do with that anxiety. It's what you do with your other emotions and what makes you happy. Not to turn your back on your friends. There's multiple lessons in this film that everybody can speak on. And that everybody can relate to. And I really loved this movie. This movie does have a small issue. And that small issue is that there's not a lot of development with the new emotions. Not a lot with the new emotions. But I really enjoyed this film. The main ones that could have been a bit more developed is Inu, I believe that's how you say the name, as well as Envy could have given a bit more of a character arc. And especially Embarrassment. Embarrassment does have some character here, but he helps out a whole lot more than I thought he would. Just a bit more of a character development switch. Give these new characters a bit more. And you do get plenty. You get plenty of the old characters you know and love. You get the parents back. You meet the new friends that Riley makes. You fall in love with them. You fall in love with everybody. Anxiety, you might not like what she's doing, but you know why she's doing it. And that's the point of this film. It's relatable. It's a heartfelt comedic film for the whole entire family and people and kids, specifically some teenagers who are going through the same exact thing that Riley's going through. Even if you're not a teenager, everybody has gone through this and everybody is going to go through the anxiety of being a human being. That's what Inside Out is all about. I love this movie, and I'm going to give Inside Out 2 4.5 out of 5. Easily on rewatch, I can see this going up to a 5 out of 5, and it is my second favorite film of the entire year. It's either my second or third. But let's take a look at the quick little box office results, as well as the Netflix top 10, and what is releasing this week in theaters and on streaming. So let me go to here first, and we will take a look at the box office results for this weekend and why this is massive. So we already looked at the box office for Inside Out 2, and we will look at that again. We are of course going to look at that again because it's part of the box office. But Bad Boys for Life. Bad Boys for Life. 40%. 40% against a juggernaut in Inside Out 2, making $33.7 million, adding up to $218 million. This movie's doing fine. It has doubled its budget. It's going to turn a profit for the studio this weekend or in at least 1 or 2 weekends. But this is massive as well. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes did not take a percentage down. It lost 555 theaters, but it plus 2%. It earned 2% more than it did last week. And that means something, folks. That means something. It truly means something. Garfield earned $4.7 million. It's not doing all that awesome. It's at $218 million. There's still an audience for Garfield, and If is still chugging along at $174 million worldwide. This will not reach the $200 million mark, but it is available on digital right now to rent and buy right now, I believe. Taking a look at the other box office, the new ones here. Firebrand. Firebrand from Roadside Attractions makes $233,000. These are limited releases. Treasure is a Bleecker Street film with $268,000, as well as Tuesday, the brand new A24 film, making $292,000. We're going to take a look at the Netflix top 10 now, because this is very intriguing. And we will be looking at the TV shows as well as the movies, because this is very intriguing here. This is very intriguing. So taking a look at everything, the Netflix top 10 has changed quite a bit. It's changed quite a bit, and I'm happy to say that. I am happy to say that. Taking a look at what we have from Netflix. Starting off with the movies. The movies down here, they have Tell Them You Love Me. I'm not quite sure what that is, but it is a hour and 42-minute film. And since it is number 1 on Netflix, I might try and watch that tomorrow. Hitman is at number 2. Number 3 is Home. Ultraman Rising, number 4. Wonder at number 5. Remembering Gene Wilder at number 6. I still got to watch that one. It is on my watch list. Under Paris at number 7. The Super Mario Brothers movie at number 8. Mysteries of the Terracotta Warriors. I'm going to add that to my watch list for this week at number 9. And, of course, Shrek is there at number 10. Shrek and Mario aren't going anywhere. They are consistent things that are going to be in the top 10 for a while, I think. But we do have a new one coming out, which we'll talk about in just a minute. Going up here to the TV shows. We have Bridgerton at number 1. Perfect Match at number 2. Your Honor at number 3. Sweet Tooth at number 4. The final season of Sweet Tooth. Then we have the Netflix original miniseries Eric at number 5. My Next Guest with David Letterman at number 6. King of Collectors, The Golden Touch at number 7. Dancing for the Devil, the TikTok Cult at number 8. Geek Girl at number 9. And what was this? Nightmare Daydreams? Nightmare Daydreams at number 10. So there's everything, guys. Let me know what you think of the Netflix top 10. I think that's very interesting. I will be adding the Tell Them You Love Me and the Mysteries of the Terracotta Warriors to my watch list, because I'm very interested, and I will be watching Remembering Gene Wilder next week. So, finishing up this show, we will be looking at what is coming out this week, what's releasing this week in theaters and on streaming. And there's not a lot coming out in actuality. but I will say this. There is a lot of stuff coming out, because this is a big week. This is a big week for me. I'm a massive fan of this. If comes to VOD, X is having a moment in theaters right now in a re-release. I can't remember why they are going into it, but looking up here, a Stork's Journey at number 2 is very, very interesting. On VOD, Here to Climb is available on Max right now. I was offered a screener for it, and I turned it down. American Fiction is on Blu-ray now, as well as a 4K for Chinatown. I Used to Be Funny on VOD. I'm not quite sure what that is. Looking at what comes out this week, we have a Netflix comedy special, Outstanding, a comedy revolution. Outrage on VOD. Collects Academy. I looked at that, and it's a little too long for my liking. We have Black Barbie, as well as Inheritance. I will try to watch those. I'm not even going to say I'm going to. I don't even know what this is. Slave Play. Slave Play. This is a documentary. Slave Play was one of Broadway's most celebrated gender-bending and daring productions, breaking records and receiving critical acclaim for tackling race, sex, and interracial relationships in a way never before seen on stage. In this playful and provocative documentary, okay, so it's taking you behind the scenes of it and the run-throughs, from run-throughs to performances, and he strips down his own work and directs new actors through workshop rehearsals as the acting students parse the text and bring meaning to the words on the page. Harris turns his critical eye to the thoughts, inspirations, and creative process that brought the play to life. That sounds very intriguing. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm probably going to add that to my watch list. Probably not going to review it next week, but we'll see. We will see. On Amazon, we do have, I don't even know how to say this. Freighter. I don't even know how to say that. It follows the last 12 days of the career of a tennis player considered the best ever as he plays his final tournament. See, I'm not a tennis guy. I don't know the sport of tennis. I wish I did. The director's cut of Midsommar is in theaters right now. For the deaf community, we do have Jesus, a deaf missions film. On VOD, we have Chestnut. We have the Speedway Murders. We have Janus Planet in theaters this weekend, but on VOD and cinema, we have Blackwater Lane, Agent Recon. The big ones in theaters, however, are going to be Kinds of Kindness. We're going to come back to that. Kinds of Kindness, The Exorcism, where are you? And The Bike Riders. I will be seeing The Bike Riders on Thursday, so I will give you my review of that next week. We have Fancy Dance, which comes out in select theaters this week, as well as Apple TV Plus next week, which I will be watching at that then. Peacock. Kung Fu Panda 4 comes to Peacock, and I cannot wait to finally see Kung Fu Panda 4, but I have to watch Kung Fu Panda 3 first. And going into the next Tuesday, we do have Furiosa. Furiosa comes to VOD on the 24th. And then on the 25th, we will have the 4K of South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. The Blu-ray of The Boys in the Boat. Ghostbusters Frozen Empire on VOD and on Max. We will be having The Boy and the Heron. On VOD, we have I Am Celine Dion, Monkey Man, and the Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare comes to Blu-ray, 4K, and DVD. As well as VOD next week, rounding this out with Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. For you 4K people, we do have a 4K of Taxi Driver and a 4K of Matinee. So there is everything coming up, guys. That is a lot. We did a great show. I had a great time. I hope you guys had a great time. Let me know what you thought down below. And I will see all of you guys next week for a lot of reviews and some more movie news. But I will see all of you guys next time.